Hey there, welcome to another video. I'm going to share today a perspective and offer some tips on how you can come up with music basically every day. Because as composer, I need to constantly come up with music. I can't really afford to just wait until I'm inspired, which does happen, but it's not necessarily going to happen often enough. So the challenge that a lot of composers, and I'm sure many people watching this video face, is you're wondering like, okay, do I have to be a genius to constantly come up with new music? I say no. Do people who do this for a living hear music all the time? I mean, yes and no, but I personally find that I get overwhelmed in my workflow, always working with music, always listening to music, analyzing, studying music, where actually I really relish that opportunities when I'm not hearing music, when I'm not thinking music, when my mind can actually rest from that sort of thought pattern. So I imagine a lot of other people try to seek that out as well. So that is not the key to always writing new music. One of the biggest challenges that I think you want to be aware of when you're trying to write new music and you're trying to develop a workflow that's really productive is to understand that technology is a huge creativity killer. Now, I use technology all the time. I'm doing this live stream. I've got this big monitor in front of me. I've got buttons and stream decks, and I've got my Control S88 keyboard here, which talks to my software, and I've got Cubase and Dorico running and all this different stuff. So it's not that technology isn't it's not only one of my best friends in my studio, it's absolutely crucial for anybody trying to seriously do this work in 2024. But it is a huge headache. And I'm sure anybody watching this video who has tried to make music in their computer has discovered there's like maybe problems with your sound card or your interface. What's the driver? What's the latency settings? What's my sample rate? What's the bit rate? Should I be dithering? All of this sort of general knowledge, you gotta get past that. You gotta know that. Then there's like, okay, update my software. Where did my libraries go? How fast does my external drive have to be in order to play real-time samples? There's so many significant barriers, but this is an overcomable thing. Okay, so one of the first things I think you want to address when you're trying to understand how to write music on a regular basis is, do you really know your tech? Are you relying on any tech that you don't really know? And do you need all your tech? There's also kind of a separate but side and related issue is we love gear. I love gear as a producer and as a musician. I want that new sound library. I want that new keyboard. I want that new gizmo with lights and such, right? But the problem that often comes up is that you can actually have a situation where you've got all this gear causing you problems. The MIDI isn't talking to itself. You don't have everything on different ports. And all of a sudden there's the mystery MIDI being sent into Cubase or Dorico and you don't know what's going on. So first thing I would suggest if tech is a problem for you is get rid of anything that you're not actually using on a daily basis. If you really love it and you really want to use it, then that brings us to the second topic, which is get to know that gear like the back of your hand. Get to know everything about it. Solve a problem every time it comes up. Try to do hard stuff with it. I bought Machine, Native Instruments Machine interface. I literally spent a month just composing on Machine, and I was like, you know what? It's going to be a headache. It's going to be so much harder than writing in Cubase or Dorico, but I'm going to write music for a month in Machine because I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to run into every problem I could possibly run into. The outcome was a month later, which really is not that big of an investment in the span of my career. I got to know Maschine, and I decided that it was a piece of gear I was going to rely on. Same goes for my Control S88 keyboard. I bought the MK3 last year when it came out. Sure, there were problems. If you've read the NI forums, you'll know that a lot of people had some frustrations with them. I did the same thing, and I really got under it. Same with Cubase, which is right here behind me. Same with Dorico. Force yourself to get to know your gear and then slim it down also to just the absolute necessary gear that you really need, that you want to work with, or you have to work with. Get past the technology problems by generating knowledge, by knowing your gear. And if you don't know your gear and you're hoping that that won't be a problem, forget it. It's going to be a big problem. It's going to be a big creativity killer. I'm sorry to say, you got to know your gear. I know my gear very well, but I also have bought lots of gear that I've just put in a cupboard or sold on eBay because it wasn't presenting enough value for me to really get to know it. And I've decided getting to know my gear is absolutely crucial in the work that I do. Okay, so that's one thing. Now let's talk about, I want to share with you actually a workflow that I did just minutes before this live stream. How I go about writing music, presuming that you know your gear. Where do you find inspiration from? That's kind of the next question, right? So what I did here, and I'm going to take myself off the screen here just quickly. Sorry, let me get myself off. And so what I did here is I just basically found a sound that I liked, which was this sound. Very simple. Nothing really fancy, but I kind of had fun with it. You know, it was just kind of inspiring. And that's the key. First thing, find some sound that inspires you, makes you feel something. I like this sound. It does not, I didn't come to this project like this is a big project. You know, today's got to be the day I make the best piece of music in the world. I literally just looked through my 100,000 sounds until I found one. Not the best one, not anything like that, just a sound that I really liked, that inspired me. Okay, and this is what I came up with. I like hitting the keys on my keyboard now because it's making a cool sound. So then I did a video a couple of weeks ago about how to use tempo detection in Cubase so that I could just play something in and then have Cubase do the tempo detection. So I will link to that video and and check it out on my channel, and then you can understand how I do this. But basically, what's up here in red, this MIDI, I just played this in. It was just basically an F and a C, something like that, and I just played it in, and then I had Cubase do tempo detection on it. It was like one press of a button, as you'll see in my other video. And then before I knew it, I had this. Okay. Now, is that the greatest music in the world? Absolutely not. But it came from a sound that was inspiring me, and that's what I felt like playing. This is one of the secret keys to writing music all the time, is to not judge whether or not this is a great idea, but instead go with it and see where it goes, see how far you can get with it. Decide at the end if it's a piece of music worth keeping. If it's not, that's often the way that my day ends. The music was not the greatest music, or I don't have a place to use it, but I write every day, and more often, I do end the day with something good. Okay, that's neither here nor there maybe. So now what I did was I opened up my MIDI and I see, okay, it's all C's and F's. So I'm going to put this just in the key of F before I go into this next step, which is to create a harmony. So just creating some very basic chords here. I've created a basic chord progression using the chord track in Cubase, which allows me to just visually add some chord events, and then it's going to play back through this piano. And let's just go ahead and hear what that sounds like. So I created an F, B flat, F, and C. So this is a 1-4-1-5 chord progression, super simple. It's all in time because I've used Cubase's tempo detection to detect a tempo from the thing that I played in red, and it warped that to create measures, and you can see the measures up here. I got a 4-bar loop. Everything's on the grid. Cubase did that work for me, okay? All I did was find a sound and play a little doodle that I liked. One thing I will say caveat-wise, this doodle has to be 7 seconds or longer in order for Cubase to do the tempo detection. So what's this all sound like together? Let's listen to that. Now it's starting to sound like music. I don't have a melody yet, but it's becoming even more inspiring to me. From here, I basically reapply the same formula. Find another sound that inspires me that I feel like goes with this. Play something. I've got the rhythm all set up now. Just doodle a few figures, a few melodic ideas, a few motivic figures, a few things that are maybe 1 or 2 measures in length. Just some different ideas. Put them together and start playing with it. Play it back, listen. From there, you keep reiterating that same process. Find a sound, doodle something, find a sound, doodle something. Put it all together. You can do this. Is great to do in Ableton if you're working with samples and clips. It's great to do in Logic or Cubase. You can use a variety of features in here. Anyway, the takeaway, I think, is that there's a simple process to writing music on a daily basis. If you found this video helpful, please do like and subscribe. I'm doing videos every week. Every Wednesday, I am on at noon. I'm going to start scheduling those and find a way to promote those. And I look forward to seeing you next time. If you have questions, leave them in the comments and I'll get back.